This is my TNA Genesis 2010 pay-per-view review. This pay-per-view, what I would say about this pay-per-view is pretty much like a couple of the recent TNA pay-per-views where you had a great main event and you had actually one other match that was very good as well. It's more or less a two-match pay-per-view, and then the undercard was pretty much atrocious. The beginning portion of this pay-per-view was just a lot of terrible matches and a lot of things that shouldn't have took place as far as who went over in some matches. And not only that, was just the quality of them was piss poor. Now, the main event was great. Some people might dislike it a little bit. Not dislike the match, but dislike the outcome due to the heel turn of AJ Styles. But I think it worked out. I'll get more into that when I get to talk about the main event of the evening. And the Pope D'Angelo Neres match with Desmond Wolfe was very good as well. Now, the beginning of the pay-per-view started off with Hogan and Bischoff coming out there. Hogan and Bischoff welcoming the people in attendance and people on pay-per-view to the pay-per-view. And this is pretty much just them talking for about 8 to 10 minutes. Now, I would say this would be one of those things that was completely pointless in doing, but considering you had Hogan as one of the main draws and one of the main people that was pretty much the function of who was being promoted as far as this pay-per-view. You had to do something at the beginning with Hogan out in the ring, since Hogan was one of the main draws as far as all the promotional ads for this pay-per-view and the main event as well, but more or less the main draw that, you know, as far as the promotional ads was Hulk Hogan. So normally I would say this segment was pointless, but considering that you had him in the promotional things and he was one of your big draws for this pay-per-view, that you kind of had to do something at the beginning with him. But it was one of those segments I could have dealt without at the same time as well. Now, the first matchup was Amazing Red versus the partner to be determined at the pay-per-view, and it ended up being Brian Kendricks for the X Division Championship. Now, this match started off pretty good back and forth stuff. Really enjoyed it at the beginning. Kind of got a little slow at the beginning, then picked back up. I would say it was a pretty solid opener, but I was expecting a little more from it. Still a somewhat enjoyable match, and it actually looked like Amazing Red kind of was back to his old self. I mean, he was really fast-paced in this match. Good stuff from him. Brian Kendricks, I would say he was decent in this match, but like I said, I was expecting a little more from this match. Amazing Red wins this match after hitting the Code Red to Brian Kendricks. Pretty good ending of the match, and Amazing Red retains the X Division Championship, and I would say the opener 2 3/4 stars. Expecting a little more from him, but still a enjoyable way to start the show off with at least the first match. Then the next couple matches is when it kind of starts like getting pretty bad, especially this match right here. This, in my opinion, was the worst match of the night. Even the Knockouts match was pretty bad as well, but this match was pretty bad, and not only was it bad, the outcome and who actually won this match really hurt the quality even worse, if that was even possible. And this was Sean Morley, a.k.a. Val Venus, versus Daniels. And this match, I just was completely bored watching this match. It was not good at all. I was like, going into this, I wasn't expecting anything from him. I was like, Daniels, he's such a great worker. Maybe he can do something. Maybe he could possibly draw put on a good match out of Sean Morley, a.k.a. Val Venus, but it wasn't good at all. This is a match that shouldn't really even took place on this pay-per-view, and it's just terrible to see what TNA is doing with Christopher Daniels. I mean, Christopher Daniels should be one of those guys that's in the main events of your pay-per-views. I mean, he's that good. He's pretty much, in my opinion, has the full package as far as a professional wrestler. He is great on the mic. He's great in the ring. And I would say he is kind of small, but I think it's one of those things that with his in-ring work and his mic skills kind of makes it okay as far as how small he is. And plus, it's TNA. You kind of want to make it at least seem like you got different people in your main event other than a lot of big guys, which you kind of do. And TNA should focus more on professional wrestling over entertainment anyway, and they kind of do. But Christopher Daniels, in this match, he actually lost to Sean Morley. Sean Morley won after hitting the money shot, or whatever he's calling it now, frog splash to Christopher Daniels in a half-star match. That's pretty much what I'm giving this match. I was going to give this match a NA, no rating at all, but didn't want to do that. At least wanted to give it a rating, but half a star at best. Doesn't even deserve a full star rating right there. Then the next matchup was Terra versus ODB in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Now, This match, there was one thing in it that kind of made this match shorter than what it was, which was the good thing, but hopefully ODB's doing okay now, because at one part in this match, especially the way the match ended, it definitely looked like during this match that ODB, during some portion of this match, I think it might have been after the first fall, she might have ruptured one of her breast implants during this match, and then that pretty much made the match just end pretty short, and Tara wins in 2 straight falls. Hopefully this time, with Tara having the TNA Knockouts Championship back, hopefully this time around they'll actually have her have a decent title reign. I'm not expecting, a 6 to 8 month title reign, but maybe at least have her have this belt for 3 to 4 months, have her feud with people like Hamada and Kong, or even Sarita. Them two would have a great match against each other, and hopefully they do some good stuff with Tara as TNA Knockouts Champion. This time around, the first 2 times as her being champion, she only kept it for 2 to 3 weeks those times, and hopefully they do a little better this time. Match-wise, I would say maybe a star at best. Then the next matchup was Hernandez and Matt Morgan teaming up to take on the British Invasion for the TNA World Tag Team Championships. And this was a decent tag match. It wasn't anything that good at all. I would say it was on the par of a little below average / close to almost being a watchable match. And Hernandez pins Brutus Magnus in this match after hitting the carbon footprint to him. So the new TNA Tag Team Champions are Hernandez and Matt Morgan, which is one of those things. Why are you going to make these two a tag team? I mean, I think they would do much better as a singles competitor, especially Matt Morgan, since the crowd likes him. I personally don't like him, but the crowd likes him a lot. And Hernandez, I think you could do something maybe with him singles-wise as well. Or, hell, I mean, it wouldn't be bad, just have him and Homicide team back up again, since Homicide's kind of doing a little something, but could be doing a little better than what he's actually doing in TNA now. So, right there, them just having tag team titles, just completely pointless. Just throw the tag titles on them for no reason at all. I would say 1.5, maybe 1 3/4 star match. Then the next matchup. Now, this next matchup was one of the first really good matches of the night. This was one of the 2 main matches that was very good on this pay-per-view. This is Desmond Wolfe versus the Pope D'Angelo De Niro. A lot of good stuff in here. Really enjoyed this match. I was pretty sure this match would be good, because even though their match on January 4th on TNA Impact was pretty much just a squash match, only 2 to 3 minutes long, I knew them to, if they were given enough time, they would have a good match. Now, would have maybe wanted this match to go a little longer, but still they got at least a decent amount of time, and pretty enjoyable match. I really liked it. Good back and forth action between these two, and Desmond Wolfe wins this match after hitting the lariat to the Pope D'Angelo De Niro in a 3.5 star match. Very good match. Second best match of the night. Then the next matchup was Kevin Nash. It was originally going to be Kevin Nash and Scott Hall teaming up to take on Beer Money, but earlier in the night they had X-Pac replace Scott Hall, so Kevin Nash and X-Pac, Sean Waltman teamed up to take on Beer Money, and Scott Hall did come out here and do something at the end of this match. Now, this match, it was at least, when Sean Waltman was in there, it was actually a pretty decent tag match. I would actually say it was a whole lot better than I was expecting from these two teams against each other. X-Pac did some good stuff in there with Sean Waltman. Kevin Nash, when he was in there, just, typical Kevin Nash. Nothing really much was expecting from him. Then at the end of this match, you saw Scott Hall come out there. He was coming down the ramp, and pretty much he went down to one of the fans at ringside, grabbed one of the fans, pulled him over the guardrail, was attacking the fan, and then at this point, Sean Waltman was outside the ring. Sean Waltman was trying to, stop him from doing this, whereas Kevin Nash was inside the ring, and this pretty much distracted Kevin Nash for a moment. So James Storm hit a super kick to Kevin Nash, and Kevin Nash then got pinned by Robert Roode. So Robert Roode and James Storm of Beer Money Incorporated win this match. So that's the good thing out of this, is even though Beer Money Incorporated, I'm not the hugest fans of them, it is good to see that at least they went over in this match, and they didn't have Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, or, you know, in this match, it got replaced to Kevin Nash and Sean Waltman. Thankfully, they had beer money go over in this match. I would say 2 1/4 stars, mainly just because I was not expecting anything from it. It actually was a pretty watchable match, and actually some parts of it was actually pretty enjoyable. I actually didn't mind the parts when Sean Waltman was in the ring. Then the next matchup was Abyss. Now, this match was going to originally be Abyss versus Bobby Lashley, but earlier in the night, Abyss attacked Bobby Lashley backstage, and then Abyss had no opponent, and then they pretty much announced that Abyss is taking on who TNA's new major acquisition is, TNA's new talent they signed, and the new talent they got signed was Mr. Kennedy, which I don't mind Kennedy being involved in TNA, but I don't think you should have, you know, built him up in a way where you said this is a major acquisition, major new talent that TNA assigned, because back in 2005 when Christian came to TNA, it was understandable that they called him a major acquisition because he actually jumped ship from WWE to TNA. He wasn't fired from WWE or released from WWE. He actually jumped ship, whereas Mr. Kennedy, I mean, in WWE, he really didn't do much at all. He kept getting injured and stuff like that. And, you know, he could actually be a good person for TNA. Just hopefully isn't too injury prone like he was at WWE and doesn't keep getting injured. And then if he actually is able to, you know, in TNA, be used to his full potential and actually not get hurt at all, he actually could be a pretty top star for TNA, because I actually think, you know, matches with him and AJ Styles be pretty good. Matches with him and Kurt Angle be pretty good. And this match with Abyss, I would say it was, you know, decent. It was at least watchable. Obviously with Mr. Kennedy, now known as Mr. Anderson, debuting, obviously he was going to win this match and go over. And the match comes when Mr. Anderson uses brass knucks to Abyss to win the match, and a 2-star match, at least watchable match, I would say. Then the next matchup was the main event of the evening. This was Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship, and this was the best match of the night. I think most people were expecting this to be a very good match, and it did deliver. Very good match. These two have very good chemistry with each other. Great matches pretty much all the time, and a lot of good stuff in here. Actually was given a good amount of time, a whole lot more time than I was actually expecting them to be given. In this match, felt like they probably at least got 25, maybe a little longer in the ring, and it was actually very, very good. It was really enjoyable. Great back and forth stuff, great counters, just a great wrestling match. Now, some people might dislike the ending of it. Now, the ending was, towards the end of it, Kurt Angle had AJ Styles in the ankle lock submission hold, and Ric Flair was out there. Ric Flair pulled the ref out. Then as the ref was pulled out and taken out of the match for a little bit, Ric Flair then threw the world title into AJ Styles. Then AJ Styles hit Kurt Angle with the belt. So AJ Styles is now a heel within TNA. You saw him have a heel turn in TNA on this pay-per-view, which at least is one of those heel turns that actually was kind of built up. You know, the last couple impacts and, you know, building up to this match, AJ Styles was pretty much a tweener, looking like he was going to do something as far as turn on Kurt Angle and be a heel within TNA. And I think this is something good for TNA, with Ric Flair being a part with AJ Styles, because I think that's really going to help AJ Styles. Not only, you know, Ric Flair can, you know, teach him a lot of stuff, you know, as far as mic work. Ric Flair being in his corner is really going to get him over. And, you know, Ric Flair, he's one of those guys that even in this day and age where, you know, pretty much everyone just, you know, adores Ric Flair and just loves Ric Flair. Ric Flair's one of those guys that no matter what, he can always get a rise out of the fans and always can get some good heel heat. And I think he can do a lot of great stuff with AJ Styles. And AJ Styles does retain the championship, which I wasn't really expecting at all, especially with the stipulation of it that if Angle would lose, he would not get a title shot against AJ Styles. So, don't know who AJ Styles will take on next month. Maybe he'll take on Samoa Joe or someone like that, because Samoa Joe does have the briefcase to be able to get a future World Heavyweight Championship shot. So wouldn't mind seeing Samoa Joe and AJ Styles. They could have a very good match. Desmond Wolfe, wouldn't mind to see him and AJ Styles. That'd be a great match, them two against each other. And the main event, I would give 4 stars. Now, this is one of those pay-per-views that the main event really helped it a lot, really saved it from being in the category of a really terrible show. And the other, Desmond Wolfe and the Pope D'Angelo Nero, was good as well. but there's kind of a lot of, bad stuff at the beginning of it, a little poor booking the first half of the show that kind of hurt the quality of the show overall. I would give the pay-per-view, since I did enjoy the main event, gave that 4 stars, 3.5 stars, and did, somewhat enjoy the opener. I'll probably give the pay-per-view overall a 6.5 out of 10. It's not a pay-per-view I would say go out your way to purchase or see. This is one of those that, if you do check stuff out on it, check out the Desmond Wolfe and Nigel McGuinness, not Desmond Wolfe and Pope D'Angelo De Niro match, and the main event with AJ Styles versus Kurt Angle, or, just wait till this is one of those events that, perfect example of wait till this show comes out on DVD if you actually want to purchase it. That's when I'll wait for it, because the main event was very good, but the undercard, that's the one thing that's really been suffering TNA in the last couple of months, was they've been putting on a lot of great matches. They've been putting on cards that had, at least 1 or 2 great matches, but the undercard is so bad that it hurts the overall quality of the show no matter how good the other 2 matches are. It's like the first beginning part of the event's always so bad that it hurts the overall quality. So hopefully TNA can get that fixed at some point within this year, because if they get the undercard fixed, TNA possibly could put on some excellent pay-per-views. That's really the thing that's suffering them, is the undercard and some of the poor booking they do in the early portions of the show, or some, bookings as far as who goes over. Especially Christopher Daniels should have never lost to Sean Morley, aka Val Venus. That's probably one of the worst decisions TNA has made in a long time. Like I said, I give the pay-per-view a 6.5 out of 10. It's one of those I would say not worth purchasing or going out your way to see, but is a few good things that are on the pay-per-view if you do go out your way to check it out. And yeah, that's it for my TNA Final Resolution 2010 pay-per-view review. Peace.